Featuring Liam Neeson, the story unfolds in the snowy town of Kiheo, centering around Nels Cox, a snowplow driver. Returning home with his son Kyle, they join Cox wife Grace for dinner. Amidst discussions about an upcoming event, Grace advises Cox to speak less. Following his recognition as the Citizen of the Year for exceptional services, the storyline transitions to Kehejo Airport, where Kyle is employed. Kidnapped and injected with heroin, Kyle's fate intertwines with another victim, Dante, setting the stage for a suspenseful narrative. In chase, they open fire, but Dante narrowly escapes. Later, they position Kyle's lifeless body in a public area, creating the illusion of a sudden collapse. Meanwhile, Grace searches for Cox, and they hurriedly head to the mortuary upon learning of Kyle's demise. The post-mortem report points to a heroin overdose, leaving Cox perplexed, as Kyle was not involved in drug use. Grace, however, shoulders the blame for overlooking their son's struggles, setting the stage for a complex emotional journey. Despite the turmoil, they proceed with their son's burial ceremony. Meanwhile, we are introduced to the drug lord Trevor Calcote, also known as Viking. Observing his son Ryan's black eye, Viking advises him to retaliate against his bully. However, Ryan hesitates, concerned about stooping to the bully's level. Viking receives news that Dante has escaped. Distressed by the ongoing events, Cox, seeking solace, heads to his storage shed, grabbing a rifle. Unbeknownst to him, the fugitive Dante is also concealed in the same hiding spot, adding another layer of tension to the unfolding narrative. Cornered and contemplating suicide, Cox places the barrel in his mouth. However, Dante intervenes before he can pull the trigger. Dante discloses that Kyle was innocent, prompting Cox to extract information. Dante reveals his involvement with Viking's men, leading to the loss of a cocaine bag, triggering their capture and Kyle's murder. Providing a lead, Dante discloses the name of one of the culprits, Speedo. Cox follows the trail to a nightclub, guided in pursuit of Speedo. The relentless pursuit unfolds, introducing a layer of suspense and determination in Cox's quest for justice. Upon receiving a call, they proceed to the elevator. Cox questions Speedo about Dante, who feigns ignorance. When asked about Kyle, Speedo pretends not to know. Frustrated, Cox presses for details on Kyle's murder and the orchestrator behind it. Speedo, uncooperative, brandishes his gun, threatening Cox. Seizing an opportunity, Cox attacks when Speedo lets his guard down, beating him mercilessly. Subduing Speedo, Cox hauls him to the back of a van. Examining his phone, Cox demands an explanation before delivering another blow. Speedo confesses to taking orders from Limbo. Cox verifies Limbo's identity through Speedo's phone and then strangles Speedo to death, ensuring he's lifeless. Disposing of the body, he wraps it in chicken wire and discards it down a gorge. Returning home, Grace is present but remains silent, her feelings apparent. In the morning, Viking, distressed, learns that Speedo is missing, but remains nonchalant and optimistic about his return. As he escorts Ryan to school, Viking discovers his son's lunch packed with cookies, infuriating him due to his strict dietary regulations. Patrolling the town, Detective Kim Dash, new in town and partnered with GYPs, encounters Cox. They inform her that he is the Citizen of the Year, setting the stage for a convergence of characters and interests in the unfolding narrative. As teens casually smoke a joint, Kim contemplates arresting them, but Chip advises leniency. Tensions escalate between Cox and Grace. Armed with a shortened rifle hidden in his coat, Cox tracks down Limbo at a wedding dress shop where he works. Limbo, realizing Cox intent, attempts to shoot him, but Cox evades, engaging in a fierce altercation until he prevails. Limbo confesses to being ordered by Santa, an enforcer, to kill Kyle and Dante, divulging Santa's airport employment and description. Cox eliminates Limbo, depositing the body in the gorge. At home, Grace's attempt to discuss Kyle's preferences reveals Cox ignorance, sparking her anger. Meanwhile, Viking and his ex-wife, Aya, coordinate custody arrangements for Ryan, with Viking asserting control over Ryan's diet. Viking, learning of Limbo's disappearance, grows furious, deeming it insane. Meanwhile, Ryan impresses one of Viking's men with his deep knowledge and love for classic music at the airport. Cox spots Santa preparing his car, tailing him to a snow-covered road. He cunningly changes route. The truck reappears, potentially blocking Santa. Coxman confronts him, instructing him to step aside. Santa tries bribery, met with a punch. Despite beatings, Santa insists Coxman is wasting time. A moment of laughter precedes Coxman admitting fatigue before delivering a fatal gunshot. Discovering cocaine, Coxman destroys Santa's car, plowing it off the road. Santa joins Speedo and Limbo at the gorge's bottom. Returning home, Coxman discovers Grace's departure, leaving an empty letter. Seeking insight, he consults his former criminal brother, Byron. Byron's wife harbors distrust, assuming Coxman is still part of their old crew. Coxman reveals Kyle's death, prompting Byron to investigate. He uncovers Viking's dangerous influence and the illicit activities involving Kyle and Dante. Coxman, vowing retribution, surprises Byron with news of 3 executed men. Meanwhile, Viking suspects an American Indian drug gang led by White Bull is behind his men's disappearances, a situation stemming from a compromise made by Viking's father during the area's takeover of the reservation. With cocaine missing, Viking commands his men to capture White Bull's son, Little Hawk. The men ambush Little Hawk at the airport, mercilessly beating him. Unyielding, Little Hawk remains silent, prompting Viking to execute him. Viking hangs Little Hawk's lifeless body by a sign near the reservation, accompanied by the shark tooth given by White Bull's father for peace. Heartbroken, White Bull seeks vengeance against Viking. Detective Kim, informed by her ex-boyfriend, anticipates a war between Viking and White Bull. Despite Kim's concerns, the captain dismisses it. Kim contemplates taking action, sensing a territorial conflict. Seeking guidance, Coxman consults Byron, hoping to gather information on how to confront and eliminate Viking, given Byron's past affiliation with the criminal world. Byron, once part of a gang called Wingman, advises Coxman, drawing on his extensive criminal experience. To eliminate Viking, Byron suggests hiring a hitman known as the Eskimo. Coxman follows Byron's instructions, picking up the Eskimo from a train station, taking him to a motel, and paying half the money up front. However, the Eskimo grows suspicious, associating Coxman with law enforcement due to the unusual payment arrangement. Undeterred, the Eskimo betrays Coxman, demanding $90,000 from Viking to reveal the person who paid for his demise. After Viking transfers the funds, the Eskimo discloses Coxman's involvement, setting the stage for a complex and treacherous confrontation. Coxman finds himself mistaken for Byron by the crooks who remember him as Wingman. Meanwhile, Viking, displeased with the Eskimo's betrayal, deems him unprofessional and has him killed for failing to uphold the criminal code. Surprisingly, Viking survives, unbeknownst to Coxman. Viking and his men, believing Byron sent the Eskimo, pick him up. Knowing his impending fate and battling cancer, Byron nonchalantly faces his execution, shielding Coxman. In a show of defiance, Coxman later spits on Byron's grave. Walking away with her luggage, Kim, the detective, receives a call, likely signaling a turning point in the intricate and dangerous narrative. Engaged in the investigation, Detective Kim uncovers crucial information about Kyle's death, linking names to both Viking's and White Bull's operations. Coxman, amidst grief, visits the graves of his son and brother before embarking on a journey to Viking's house. With determination, he traces Ryan's school from a sticker on the door. Viking, grappling with remorse for mistakenly killing Little Hawk, erupts in anger during a meeting with his men, fatally shooting one who jokes about the situation. Desperate to shift blame, Viking orders Dexter's decapitation, intending to present the head to White Bull as an offering, falsely claiming Dexter was Little Hawk's killer. White Bull, accepting the offering, remains unaware of Viking's deceit. White Bull, still seeking retribution, kills Sly as part of his demand for a son. Detective Kim, gathering intel on Dante's death, approaches Coxman, attempting to extract information. Coxman, distancing himself, remains tight-lipped. At Ryan's school, with White Bull's men poised for abduction, Coxman, aware of the danger, poses as a caregiver, successfully evading the pursuers. A high-speed chase ensues, but Coxman, anticipating their moves, outmaneuvers them, losing the pursuit. Despite the setback, White Bull receives a report of success, but learns of Sly's death. The hunt intensifies as the pursuit of Ryan continues, leaving a trail of tension and uncertainty. Viking discovers Ryan's kidnapping, upsetting him. Aya, Ryan's mother, arrives and wrongly accuses Viking, who assures her he'll resolve the situation within 24 hours. Meanwhile, Coxman takes Ryan to his home, preparing a friendly atmosphere. Despite the tension, Coxman bonds with the boy, putting him to bed and sharing stories. The contrast between their rapport and Viking's strained relationship with Ryan is evident. Viking's men bring in a school janitor who falsely implicates Coxman. Viking, feigning reward payment, deceives the janitor and has him killed. While White Bull and his men indulge in skiing and paragliding, Coxman readies his gun and contacts Viking, arranging a meeting. Disregarding Coxman's instructions, Viking and his men proceed to Coxman's residence, discovering Ryan's bag. Unbeknownst to them, Coxman is driving with Ryan. Detectives inform Coxman about suspicious activity near his home. Viking's men trace Coxman to his workplace. One man, resentful of Viking for killing his friend Dexter, betrays Viking by revealing Coxman's location to the Indians. Coxman returns to his workplace, hides Ryan, and instructs him to stay put. The confrontation between Viking, Coxman, and the Indians builds with heightened tension. Coxman seeks cover to ambush Viking, continuously searching for an ideal vantage point. However, one of Viking's men discovers him, forcing him out at gunpoint. Viking strikes him, demanding to know Ryan's location, but Coxman remains silent. Recognizing the approaching Indians, Coxman intervenes, diverting Viking by claiming Ryan is undeserving of him. The Indians arrive, sparking a fierce shootout with Viking's men as Coxman conceals himself. Viking tries to flee in his car, but Coxman, hidden, adds another layer of suspense to the confrontation. Coxman utilizes a machine to fell a tree, strategically trapping Viking in his car. White Bull seizes the opportunity, shooting Viking in the chest, rendering him powerless. As Coxman prepares to depart, White Bull insists on joining him. In the evening, Kim and Jim stumble upon the scene. Surprisingly, Viking is still alive until Jip discovers him, marking his final moments. Ryan, now free, takes control of the snowplow, driving away, prompting officers to pursue. Coxman and White Bull navigate an intricate aftermath, unraveling the consequences of their shared actions in this intense and gripping scenario. Navigating snowy roads, White Bull accompanies Coxman, realizing Coxman poses no threat. With trust established, White Bull sets aside his gun, even catching some rest. However, tragedy strikes when White Bull's last surviving companion paraglides into the snowplow's path, meeting a fatal end. The accidental collision marks the culmination of the movie,